Chosen ones, you didn't find this message by accident. This is not merely another word of encouragement scrolling past in your feed. This moment is divine, a holy pause in time where heaven turns its gaze directly on you and whispers, "I saw that." God saw what others missed. He saw you standing in the silence, holding on when everything around you gave you permission to let go. He saw the tears you didn't explain, the battles you never voiced, the decisions you made to trust Him when it made no logical sense to do so. And heaven took note. This moment is not about hype. It is holy recognition. There were times when your soul was worn thin, when the weight was unbearable, when the waiting stretched far too long and too wide. You could have cursed the sky, could have given up, walked away, and let the bitterness take root. But you didn't. You lifted your hands anyway. You whispered, "Thank you," through gritted teeth. You praised God not because your circumstances changed, but because you chose to believe He was still worthy. That praise, that trembling, tear-stained worship, echoed louder in the heavens than the finest choir ever could. It didn't need polish. It didn't need applause. It was real. And that kind of worship moves the heart of God. You see, the worship you gave from the lowest valley, when your voice cracked, when your faith was shaking, when the answers were nowhere in sight, that worship is sacred. The angels stood still. Heaven leaned in. Because what you offered wasn't performance. It was trust. Deep, raw, undiluted trust. You weren't showing off. You were holding on. That kind of surrender, birthed in the fire, becomes a sound that hell cannot silence. You didn't worship to get attention. You worshipped to survive. You worshipped because your spirit knew something your emotions hadn't caught up with yet. That even when nothing makes sense, He is still God. Even in the silence, He is still speaking. Even in the waiting, He is still working. And now, that same God is responding. You may not have seen movement yet, but in the spiritual realm, things have already shifted. Your worship wasn't invisible. It activated things in dimensions you can't see. It broke chains you didn't even know were wrapped around your legacy. It spoke into rooms your feet have not yet entered. And now the Lord who received your hidden obedience is preparing to reward you openly. What you did in the quiet, what you whispered in the dark, is being honored in the courts of heaven. Your offering was not small. It was sacrifice disguised as song. And God, who sees in secret, is about to respond in ways that only He can. So let's go deeper. Let's revisit the moment most people skipped over, those silent seasons when nothing made sense. Remember when you were right on the edge of giving up? When despair whispered, "This is too much." You stood at a crossroads that most wouldn't even recognize, and you made the harder choice. You could have chosen anger. You could have given in to resentment. You could have turned your back and walked away. But instead, you bowed your head and chose reverence. That is what sets you apart. That is why you're not just a survivor. You're becoming a warrior. Your pain didn't make you passive. It made you powerful. You didn't just get through it. You grew in it. And that growth is what heaven applauds. Most people can praise when everything is going well. Most can lift their hands when the breakthrough arrives, when the healing comes, when the prayers are answered. But you worshiped when the miracle hadn't yet shown up. You sang through your sadness. You chose praise while still holding the broken pieces. And in that sacred tension, in that moment of crushing pressure, something priceless was released from your life. A fragrance of worship that only those who have been crushed can produce. That fragrance filled the throne room. It silenced accusation. It dismantled darkness. Your cry wasn't loud in volume, but it was mighty in spirit. And it is being recorded in heaven, not just as a moment of emotion, but as a declaration of faith. That kind of faith is not ordinary. It's not made in easy seasons. It's forged in the fire. True worship, the kind that heaven honors, is born not from convenience, but from conviction. It's not about whether everything is going well. It's about whether you'll still say, "God, you're good," when nothing feels good. That's the kind of worship that shifts atmospheres. That's the kind of praise that breaks spiritual strongholds. Job knew this. He lost everything: his wealth, his health, his family, his dignity, and yet still declared, "Though he slay me, yet will I trust him." That wasn't delusion. That was devotion. He didn't wait for his circumstances to improve before lifting his voice. He lifted it while the pain was still raw. And that act of raw praise pierced heaven. It invited God to step into his mess. That is what you've done, chosen one. You worshipped like Job. You praised with wounds still bleeding, and that offering is precious to God. The enemy hoped that your trial would silence you. He assumed the pressure would break you. But instead, it shaped you. What was meant to destroy you only drove you deeper into divine presence. And in that secret place, in that hidden chamber of surrender, you were transformed. Your posture became your weapon. Your tears became your prayers. Your worship became warfare. You didn't just survive. You became dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. And here's the reality. Every time you opened your mouth in praise, even when your soul was trembling, heaven moved. Chains that had bound generations started to crack. Doors that had been shut began to creak open. Angels were dispatched. Strategies were formed on your behalf. Because praise is not filler. Praise is power. It's not the melody that makes it holy. It's the faith behind the sound. Your hallelujah, even whispered, became a battle cry. Not because it was perfect, but because it was pure. That's what caught God's attention. That's what drew his presence near. Not the polish, the purity. And that is why everything is about to shift. Chosen ones, there are things happening in the unseen that would overwhelm your mind if God unveiled it all at once. Your worship, those quiet, raw, sometimes tear-filled offerings, has not gone unnoticed. What you poured out in secret stirred a response in heaven. While you thought no one saw the nights you cried out, or the days you pressed on despite the silence, heaven was recording every moment with holy reverence. You see, obedience in comfort is one thing. Obedience in pain, that is sacred. That is weighty. That carries eternal value. You didn't just worship, you waged war, and heaven responded accordingly. There's something the enemy underestimated about you. He assumed you'd fall apart once the hardship hit. He calculated that the long delay, the unjust rejection, the broken promises would silence your praise. But instead of collapsing, you built an altar. You found God in the ache. And that choice, to bow instead of break, unleashed something mighty. It released angelic reinforcement. It marked your name in spiritual realms. Because true worship isn't a sound, it's a stance. It's your whole being declaring, "I trust him anyway." You don't need a stage or a song to be a worshiper. You proved that in the way you forgave without apology, served without recognition, prayed when your voice was weak, and loved when it cost you everything. You have become a living offering. You don't just sing worship, you embody it. And God takes that personally. Your life became the incense rising before him. Your persistence a melody more beautiful than any choir. Heaven didn't just hear your voice, it smelled your sacrifice. That's the kind of worship that cannot be ignored. And now, because of your faithfulness, a shift is coming. You may not feel it yet. It may not look like anything has changed. But in the spirit, the tides have already turned. God has been preparing something that matches the level of your surrender. Not just restoration, but revelation. Not just favor, but fulfillment. He's not only answering the prayer you prayed, He's responding to the praise you gave when you had no reason to believe. You see, some blessings are sent in response to need. Others are sent in response to worship. And you're about to see the difference. The favor that's being prepared for you wasn't born from effort. It was born from reverence. Your tears have been bottled. Your sighs have been counted. Your stillness in the struggle has become a signal in the spirit realm. You didn't promote yourself. You didn't manipulate the outcome. You stood still and let God be God. And now He's stepping in, not just to answer, but to elevate. What He's about to do in your life will silence the critics, confuse the doubters, and glorify His name in ways that your words never could. Chosen one, don't mistake the silence for absence. Don't interpret the waiting as punishment. You're not being overlooked. You're being preserved. God has been shielding you, holding you back, refining you not because you're forgotten, but because you are marked. There is a calling on your life that cannot be rushed, and a glory attached to your name that must be revealed in the right season. The process wasn't cruelty, it was consecration. And the delay wasn't denial, it was preparation. Every time you praised instead of panicked, every time you chose stillness over striving, every time you whispered truth over the lies that tried to grip you, you were sowing into a harvest bigger than you imagined. Heaven has not forgotten. Your name has been spoken in holy places. Your offering has been memorialized. Like Cornelius in Acts 10, whose generosity and prayers rose like incense before God, your sacrifice has built something eternal, something that cannot be erased by the opinions of people or the plans of the enemy. And now, God is positioning you, not to make you popular, but to make Him known. He's not elevating you so people can applaud your name. He's elevating you so they can see His hand. Your story isn't a show, it's a signpost, a declaration that worship in the dark really does bring breakthrough in the light. And when the doors open, when the blessings flow, when the reward finally comes, you will know exactly where it came from. Because you've been with God in the secret place, and now He is bringing you into the wide open. Don't be surprised when the promotion doesn't look like what you expected. Don't be alarmed when old doors remain closed while new ones you never knocked on swing open. That's how God works with those who worship like you do. He doesn't repay with human formulas. He rewards with heaven's favor. And that kind of favor can't be manipulated, duplicated, or denied. It's easy to think that what you're walking through is just personal. But in reality, your obedience has ripple effects far beyond your own life. Your midnight worship created cracks in generational walls. Your posture in pain sent tremors through spiritual dimensions. You thought you were surviving, but you were shifting the atmosphere for those who come after you. You've been building legacy in the dark. You've been shaping history with your hidden faithfulness. What you did in secret is laying a foundation for deliverance in generations to come. That's why the enemy tried so hard to discourage you. That's why the warfare has been so fierce. Because if he could silence your worship, he could disrupt the release that was coming through you. But you didn't stop. You kept going. Even if it was a whisper, even if it was messy, you kept lifting your heart to God. And now heaven is responding not just with affirmation, but with movement. Doors are unlocking. Chains are breaking. Assignments are shifting. And the glory that is coming will not be temporary. It will be transformative. You're not just stepping into answered prayer. You're stepping into divine purpose. And the vessel you've become, the one formed in the fire, refined by surrender, and marked by worship, is ready. You didn't come this far to blend in. You were shaped to stand out, not for show, but for sacred assignment. And that assignment is awakening now. Chosen ones, the journey you've walked has not just refined you, it has qualified you, not in the eyes of the world, but in the courts of heaven. You didn't earn your authority through applause or position. You were entrusted with it through pressure, through midnight tears, through worship whispered in pain. And that authority is not theoretical. It's real. It's why you've begun to sense shifts in your spirit, even before circumstances change. It's why your words carry more weight, why your prayers pierce deeper, why your presence brings peace into rooms that don't know how to name it, because you've become a vessel, hollowed out, humbled, and now filled with heaven's fire. This isn't just your season of reward, it's your season of revelation. God is not only revealing promises, He is revealing you. The version of you that was hidden beneath all the layers of doubt and fear. The version that He always saw, even when you couldn't. The trials didn't destroy you, they exposed you. They uncovered the worshiper, the warrior, the one who carries the oil of endurance. You've been poured out, yes. But now heaven is refilling you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Because what you poured out in secret was never wasted. It was investment, and now the return is being multiplied. Don't be surprised if people start to notice something different about you. Don't be caught off guard when those who once overlooked you begin to see you through new eyes. It's not about them. It's about the light you now carry. You've been in the presence of the King, and that kind of glory lingers. It clings to your voice, your posture, your presence. It moves with you. Because this isn't confidence from experience, it's clarity from encounter. You've touched the holy. You've wrestled with pain and come out with peace. That kind of transformation cannot be faked. It cannot be fabricated. It must be walked through. And you walked through it faithfully. You are not the same. And you are not meant to go back to who you were. That version of you was necessary for a season. But God is calling you forward. Higher, deeper, further than ever before. The weight you feel is not a burden. It's the mantle of authority. You are not just healed. You are holy. Not perfect, but set apart, consecrated, ready. That's why God hid you for a while. That's why the silence lasted longer than expected. He was building something in you that wouldn't collapse under influence, that wouldn't dilute under pressure, that wouldn't shatter under spotlight. You've been forged. Now you're being released. And what He's releasing you into isn't just for you. It's for everyone connected to your obedience. Your yes in the valley is now becoming a river in the desert for others. Your story, once heavy with unanswered questions, is becoming a testimony that breaks chains. The glory you carry didn't come from a stage. It came from a struggle. And that's why it's pure. That's why it's powerful. That's why it carries weight. There's a generation waiting for what's in you. There are people who don't know God yet, but they'll meet Him through your obedience. There are atmospheres that haven't shifted yet, but they will when your worship fills the room. You didn't just endure your pain for yourself. You carried it with purpose, and now that purpose is about to unfold. You're not here to chase platforms. You're here to carry presence. You're not here to seek validation. You're here to reveal truth. You're not just part of a church. You are the church, alive, anointed, awakened. So what now? What happens after all the pressing, the breaking, the wilderness? You keep going. You keep worshiping. Not because you're desperate for outcome, but because your life has become a living altar. Worship is no longer something you do. It's who you are. You've learned to praise through pain, to trust through uncertainty, to wait without bitterness. And that posture is eternal. It cannot be taken from you. It's the well you'll draw from for the rest of your life. It's the anointing that will go with you into every room, every calling, every assignment. And yes, storms will come again. That's the nature of life. But now, you won't face them the same way. Because now you know what's inside you. Now you know how powerful your praise really is. Now, you've seen what happens when you worship instead of worry, when you trust instead of tremble. And next time, you won't hesitate. You'll lift your hands faster. You'll sing louder. You'll stand stronger. Because you've lived this. and you've watched God move. You've learned that your worship is your warfare, that it opens doors no key can turn, that it shifts atmospheres, breaks cycles, confuses the enemy, and draws heaven near. You've learned that when you worship in truth and spirit, heaven doesn't just listen, it responds. And because of that, you've become unstoppable, not because of what you own, but because of what you carry. Chosen one, hear this. You are not forgotten. You are favored. You are not behind. You are being positioned. You are not weak. You are deeply rooted. You are not small. You are mighty in God. What you've walked through has refined you, redefined you, and now it's about to launch you. You're not just going forward. You're going upward. Not just in visibility, but in spiritual authority. The battles you've fought have become altars of remembrance. The pain you endured has become prophecy. The prayers you whispered have become pillars holding up the next season. So lift your head, straighten your spine, square your shoulders. This is not the end of the struggle. It's the beginning of the release. The breakthrough is not coming. It's here. The glory isn't distant. It's resting on you. The favor you've been waiting for isn't random. It's divine response. And the worship you gave in private is about to be answered in public. Your tears watered a garden you haven't even walked through yet. But you will. And when you do, you'll understand why God had to take his time, why he had to break before he built, why he had to refine before he revealed. Because what he's entrusted you with now, it's eternal, it's sacred, it's holy. So keep singing, keep believing, keep trusting. You are not just someone who worshiped through pain. You are someone who became the proof that worship changes everything. And now, that worship is changing you, your family, your future, your legacy. The best is not behind you. The best has only just begun. Let heaven celebrate your journey. Let earth witness your rise. And let every breath that follows declare the truth that shaped you. You are chosen, you are covered, and you were never alone. Amen.